Group Captain Sir Douglas Robert Steuart ๊bäːdər, CBE, DSO and Bar, DFC and Bar, DL, FRAeS, /B, D, R/, February 21, 1910, September 5, 1982, was a Royal Air Force flying ace during the Second World War. He was credited with 22 aerial victories, 4 shared victories, 6 probables, 1 shared probable and 11 enemy aircraft damaged. 1-2. ๊bäːdər joined the RAF in 1928, and was commissioned in 1930. In December 1931, while attempting some aerobatics, he crashed and lost both his legs. Having been on the brink of death, he recovered, retook flight training, passed his check flights and then requested reactivation as a pilot. Although there were no regulations applicable to his situation, he was retired against his will on medical grounds. 3. After the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, however, Douglas ๊bäːdər returned to the RAF and was accepted as a pilot. He scored his first victories over Dunkirk during the Battle of France in 1940. He then took part in the Battle of Britain and became a friend and supporter of Air Vice Marshal Trafford Leigh-Mallory and his big wing experiments. In August 1941, ๊bäːdər bailed out over German-occupied France and was captured. Soon afterward, he met and was befriended by Adolf Galland, a prominent German fighter ace. 4. Despite his disability, ๊bäːdər made a number of escape attempts and was eventually sent to the prisoner of war camp at Colditz Castle. He remained there until April 1945 when the camp was liberated by the 1st United States Army. ๊bäːdər left the RAF permanently in February 1946 and resumed his career in the oil industry. During the 1950s, a book and a film, Reach for the Sky, chronicled his life and RAF career to the end of the Second World War. ๊bäːdər campaigned for the disabled and in the Queen's Birthday Honours 1976 was appointed a Knight Bachelor for services to disabled people. 5. He continued to fly until ill health forced him to stop in 1979. ๊bäːdər died, aged 72, on September 5, 1982, after a heart attack. ๊bäːdər was born on February 21, 1910 in St. John's Wood, London, the second son of Frederick Roberts ๊bäːdər, a civil engineer, and his wife Jessie Scott Mackenzie. 6-7, his first 2 years were spent with McCann relatives in the Isle of Man while his father, accompanied by ๊bäːdər's mother and older brother Frederick, named after his father but called Derek to distinguish the two, returned to his work in India after the birth of his son. At the age of 2, ๊bäːdər joined his parents in India for a year. When his father resigned from his job in 1913, the family moved back to London 8, and settled in Kew. 9. ๊bäːdər's father saw action in the First World War in the Royal Engineers, and was wounded in action in 1917. He remained in France after the war, where, having attained the rank of major, he died in 1922 of complications from those wounds in a hospital in Saint-Omer, the same area where ๊bäːdər would bail out and be captured in 1941. 10. ๊bäːdər's mother was remarried shortly thereafter to the Reverend Ernest William Hobbs. ๊bäːdər was subsequently brought up in the rectory of the village of Sprotborough, near Doncaster, West Riding of Yorkshire. 11. ๊bäːdər's mild-mannered stepfather did not become the father figure he needed. 12. His mother showed little interest in ๊bäːdər and sent him to his grandparents on occasion. Without guidance, ๊bäːdər became unruly. During one incident with an air gun, ๊bäːdər shot a noted local lady through a bathroom window, as she was about to enter a bath. Later, an argument with Derek about the suffering inflicted by a pellet saw him being shot in the shoulder at point-blank range. 12. ๊bäːdər was then sent as a boarder to Temple Grove School, 13, one of the famous 5 of English prep schools, however one which gave its boys a Spartan upbringing. 14. ๊bäːdər's aggressive energy found a new lease of life at St. Edward's School, where he received his secondary education. During his time there, he thrived at sports. ๊bäːdər played rugby and often enjoyed physical battles with bigger and older opponents. The then warden, or headmaster, Henry E. Kendall, tolerated ๊bäÄdər's aggressive and competitive nature. At one point, he made him a prefect despite what others saw as a strong streak of conceit in the boy. 15. Fellow RAF night fighter and bomber pilots Guy Gibson and Adrian Warburton also attended the school. 16. In later life, ๊bäːdər was deemed to be so good that he was invited to play a trial, or friendly game, with the Harlequins, but it is not clear whether he actually played. 17. ๊bäːdər's sporting interests continued into his military service. He was selected for the Royal Air Force cricket team, to play a first-class match against the Army at the Oval in July 1931. He scored 65 and won. 18. In August, he played in a two-day game against the Royal Navy. He played cricket in a German prisoner of war camp after his capture in 1941, despite his later disability. 19. In mid-1923, ๊bäːdər, at the age of 13, was introduced to an Avro 504 during a school holiday trip to visit his aunt, Hazel, who was marrying RAF Flight Lieutenant Cyril Burge, adjutant at RAF Cranwell. Although he enjoyed the visit and took an interest in aviation, he showed no signs of becoming a keen pilot. 11. Still very sports-minded, an interest which dominated ๊bäːdər's formative years, he took less of an interest in his studies. However, ๊bäːdər received guidance from Warden Kendall and, with Kendall's encouragement, he excelled at his studies and was later accepted as a cadet at RAF Cranwell. 20. Soon afterwards, he was offered a place at Oxford University, but turned it down as he preferred Cambridge University. 21. His mother refused to allow ๊bäːdər to attend Cambridge in December 1927, claiming she could not afford the fees. 22. A master at St. Edward's, a Mr. Dingwall, helped pay these fees in part. Due to his new connection with Cyril Burge, ๊bäːdər learned of the 6 annual prize cadetships offered by RAF Cranwell each year. Out of hundreds of applicants, he finished 5th. He left St. Edward's in early 1928, aged 18. 22.